Hey, what is up, mortals? It is Robo Celestial here with a new video for you. Welcome to What If Deku Was a Dragon Slayer. I just wanted to greet you guys by just saying, sit back and relax, you're in for a treat. It kinda felt forced, didn't it? You're right. The two teens stood there worried about their friend's well-being. Suddenly, Wendy realized she was alone with Midoriya. Many of the events from the sports festival flashed through the brunette's mind. Midoriya wrapping his arms around her and lifting her off the ground, and comforting her after her loss. But most importantly, when she became flustered during her match with Bakugo, Wendy looked at Midoriya's face and her own turned beet red. Lucy had told her that she needed to tell Midoriya how she felt, but she didn't know if she could do that. She had never said such things to a boy before. Plus, what if Midoriya did not feel the same way? Her heart would never heal from such a rejection. The young girl got so lost in her thoughts that she did not hear Midoriya speaking. Wendy, is everything okay? The embarrassed girl snapped out of her freakout. Yes, I am fine. Are you sure? Your face got really red all of a sudden. Are sure you are not running a fever or something? Maybe you should go see Recovery Girl before class gets started, Wendy thought to herself. Why did he have to be so sweet and caring? The wind user took a deep breath and sighed. I am fine, Midoriya. Thank you for your concern. But we need to get to class. Mrs. Scarlet will not be happy if we are late. Good point. The two friends then walked toward the classroom together. The bell rang, and the door to the classroom opened. Urza Scarlet walked in and took her place at the lectern. Sui was the first to comment on their teacher's appearance. Ribbit, Mrs. Scarlet. You don't have bandages anymore. That is good news. Recovery Girl went a little overboard on her treatment. Anyway, you all have a very important class on hero informatics. Many of the less academically capable students started to silently freak out. Most of them hoped this didn't mean they had to take a pop quiz. You need code names. At the mention of code names, the most of the class exploded with excitement. Urza regained control of the class with a stern look. This is related to the Pro Hero draft pick. Most Hero Course students don't have to worry about the draft until their second or third year. But your class is different. By selecting you now, the pros are essentially investing in your future potential. However, if their interest in you changes before you graduate, then the offer can be rescinded. Hagakure then spoke up. So, even if we are selected, we will still have to prove ourselves. That is correct. Urza pressed a button on the lectern and a list of names and numbers appeared on the blackboard behind her. These are the individuals who received offers. The top of the list showed Kaminari having the most offers. Midoriya came second. Tied at third place was Bakugo and Todoroki. This made Bakugo want to rip his desk apart. The idea of being tied, especially with Todoroki, was enough to set the explosive teen off. Urza continued. Those of you who did not receive an offer, don't be disheartened. You all are partaking in the internship program. That is why you need code names. While these names will more likely be temporary, take them seriously. Suddenly the classroom door flew open. A voice spoke in a passionate tone and completed Urza's sentence. ... or you will have hell to pay later. All of the students turned toward the door. Walking into the classroom in a suggestive way was Midnight. The R-rated hero walked over to the lectern and stood beside Urza. The students relied on her presence with shock. Urza cleared her throat. Midnight will be in charge of approving your code names. It is not really my specialty. Urza had a pensive look on her face, but the crimson hired educator did not elaborate. Okay students, let's get started. The purple-haired woman handed out dry erase boards for the teens to write their hero names on. With that, the class began the process of choosing their identities as heroes. All of the 1A members took the task seriously. After several minutes, Yuga Aoyama stepped up to the podium and presented his name. Behold, the shining hero. My name is I Cannot Stop Twinkling. The students were surprised that Aoyama would choose such a weird name, but they were even more surprised when Midnight smiled and said, it would be better if you changed the cannot to can't. Mina Ashido went next. Here is my name. The Ripple Hero, Alien Queen. You mean that awful creature with the acidic blood? I don't think so. Dang it. Ashido walked back to her desk with a dejected look on her face and her shoulders slumped, with the last two names having been so odd. The other students felt they had to come up with something really clever. This feeling changed when Asui took the stand and presented her name. Rainy Season Hero, Froppy. Midnight approved of this name. Everyone started cheering when this happened, and so it went. Everyone chose their names and got it approved. Midnight replied, I seriously thought this would take longer. The only ones left are Wendy, Midoriya, Bakugo, and Ida. Ida took the podium and showed that he would just be using his name, Tenya. This was a surprise to everyone. Wendy went next. I have decided to go with Airstream. Simple and to the point. I like it. Okay, Midoriya and Bakugo. Are you two ready? Midoriya wrote down a name on his board. The greenette said to himself, This is it. Has to be. He walked up to the front and displayed his chosen name before his classmates. The whole class was surprised by his selection. Kaminari was the first one to speak up. Are you sure about that name, Midoriya? That could be your name forever. Yes, I am sure. At first I did like it, but then someone told me that it could have a different meaning. Wendy got a big smile on her face at this comment. So, this has to be my name. Deku. That only left Bakugo. The teen kept getting his names rejected because he insisted on including the words explosion murder. After the name selection was completed, Urza and Midnight stood in front of the class. Now that you have your code names, it is time to consider where you will be interning. Kirishima responded to this statement. Oh. So we will all be interning, even those who did not receive offers. Correct. Those who got offers will choose from that list. Urza then held up a stack of papers. Those that did not will be given a list of pre-approved agencies to choose from. Keep in mind the type of hero you want to be as you choose an agency. Every agency has a speciality that focuses on. Midnight then added, imagine you are 13. You would want to intern at an agency that focuses on rescuing people, not combat. Urza then completed the talk in a firm voice. Keep those things in mind as you make your selections. The crimson-haired mage then turned her firm gaze upon her 3 wizard students. Midoriya, Kaminari, Wendy. The powerful woman said in a stern tone, will you 3 step outside with me for a moment? While this sentence was worded like a request, Urza's tone made it clear it was a command. This video is sponsored by NordVPN. Staying safe online is an ever-growing difficulty, and hackers could exploit you. NordVPN allows you to change your IP address, making you harder to track, securing your privacy. In addition to providing you with safe passage through the web, you can also expand the reach of your favorite streaming services. Are you tired of going through 2, 3, or even 4 streaming services to watch your favorite anime? Well, with NordVPN, you can change your country and be able to binge shows like My Hero Academia, Naruto, and many others on your favorite streaming service with just a press of a button. Check out the link in the description to get 72% off when buying for 2 years divided by $3.29 a month. This deal is for a limited time, and thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. The 3 magic users followed Urza out of the room and down the hall to the teacher's workroom. The 3 were concerned that they had done something wrong. Wendy was the first to voice their concerns. The tiny girl spoke with an anxious tone. What did you want to speak with us about, Mrs. Scarlet? Urza stood in front of the 3 with a look on her face that was even more stoic than usual. If that is even possible. I first wanted to say that me and your previous master thought you 3 performed well in the sports festival. You each displayed some incredible power. In fact, we were all surprised by how much you had grown in a short amount of time. However, the 4 of us think you 3 still have more room for improvement. That is why I would like you to intern with our master, Makarov Dreyar. The 3 kids freaked out at hearing this name. Natsu, Lucy, and Laxus had all told them about their master Makarov Dreyar. The 3 knew he was Laxus' grandfather and he was described as being ridiculously powerful, but none of the 3 had ever met the man in person. Midoriya looked at his classmates. All 3 silently agreed on their answer. The green teen stepped toward Urza and answered, Sensei, we would be honored to accept this internship. The 3 students bowed to their teacher. Urza nodded. Good to hear. Just make sure to mind your manners when you meet the master. He is set in his ways and does not tolerate disrespect. Good luck. With that ominous warning, Urza told the 3 to return to the class and tell the others that they had until Wednesday to turn in their selection forms. After the 3 Dragon Slayers rejoined Class 1A, the others, especially Asido, were wondering what Urza wanted with the 3. Wendy explained that the 3 of them had been recruited to work under the same hero and Urza thought it would be a good idea for them to accept the offer. All of the others believed this explanation. The group then started to discuss where they were going for their internships. Meanwhile, Zeref was standing in an abandoned building. The dark-haired man was waiting for someone. Finally, a tall white-haired man appeared before the Dark Lord. Zeref spoke in a calm tone. August, it is good to see you. What have you found out? The tall man waved his hand before him and a briefcase appeared. It is as we feared, Lord Zeref. The man knelt down and opened the case. Inside were 8 glass spheres. I found these being handed out by the black market. Dragon La Crema. There are no living dragons in this world. Far fewer that know how to use magic. True master. And these La Crema are of high quality. If implanted in a person, it would give them Dragon Slayer powers. These could only have come from him. Zeref got a sad look on his face. That is true. I also know that All for One has reached out to the beast. There is no telling what that partnership will cause. Zeref thought for a moment. Take these La Crema to our hideout and make sure they are well hidden. What about the children? Do you think they are going to be of any help? That remains to be seen. They certainly have potential, We will have to see what they do next. Zareth looked down at his hand. The appendage shook mildly. The wizard thought to himself, looks like it won't be long. I must prepare for that day. A few days later, Urza Scarlet and the students of 1A stood in the train station. All of the students were carrying their hero costume cases. Each one of the students was filled with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Urza spoke in a clear voice. Everyone has their hero costumes. Be careful with them. After all, none of you have permission to wear them in public yet. Also, make sure you mind your manners with the pro heroes. Good luck. See you in a week. Ida was about to take off to his internship when he was stopped by Midoriya and Wendy. The green-haired boy spoke in a voice full of concern. Ada, if anything is wrong, you know you can always tell us. We are your friends. Wendy nodded in agreement. Both Midoriya and Wendy couldn't help but smell the rage coming off Ada. The two students wanted to say something, but they did not know what to say to the boy. Both Dragon Slayers knew how close Ada and his brother were. It could not have been easy for Ada. Looked up at the two magic users with a blank stare. The bespectacled boy replied to the two students with only one word. Yes. A short time later, Midoriya, Wendy, and Kaminari arrived at a strange building. The front looked like it had seen better days. A giant sign hung over the door at a weird angle. The sign read Fairy Tale. Kaminari got a quizzical look on his face. What does fairy tale mean? I didn't think fairies had tails. Well, the only way we are going to know is if we go inside. The three UA students opened the door and walked into the building. They were surprised by the interior design. The whole downstairs looked like a bar. There were tables and benches spread around the room. Midoriya spoke in a worried voice. Hello, is there anyone here? Suddenly a giant shadowy figure appeared from behind the bar against the back wall. The figure spoke in a deep gravelly voice full of anger. Who are you? What are you doing here? I will tolerate trespassers in my home. The kids were frozen in terror for several moments. Finally Midoriya spoke up. We are not trespassers, sir. I am Izuku Midoriya. The green team then pointed to his classmates in turn. This is Wendy Marvell. And that is Denki Kaminari. We are US students. Urza Scarlet sent us here to do an internship with Marikov Dreyer. The large figure shrank down into a tiny old man. The man was balding with white hair and a white beard. The old man's face broke out in a smile. The tiny man then spoke in a voice full of glee. Oh, so you three are the students I have been expecting. Welcome, I am Marikov Dreyer. But you can call me Master. To say that Midoriya and Kaminari were surprised by the size change that Makarov performed before their eyes would be an understatement. The young wizards did not know how to process this sight. The two stood in the old man's bar room with surprised looks on their faces. It took several minutes before they could find the words to speak. Finally Kaminari spoke up and asked in a panicked voice, What the hell, old man? How did you do that? That is an interesting reaction. Good to know I can still get a rise out of people at my age. Midoriya did not know what to say. He had heard stories from both Lucy and Natsu about Marikov Dreyer. The two wizards had described their master as being one of the most powerful living wizards, with powers that dwarfed even their considerable powers. The green teen had always pictured the man as a giant with magic energy exploding out of his body. But the tiny old man standing before him was the exact opposite of the image in his head. Excuse me, sir. Are you really Marikov Dreyer? Wendy spoke at this point. He is Midoriya. You have met him before, Wendy. I have. When? During your training under Lucy. Correct. Trust me. This old man may not look like it, but he is Master Marikov. The old man then spoke. It is good to see you again, Wendy. I see that you have made some new friends. The blue-haired girl bowed to the little man in respect. I am very happy to see that you are in good health, Master, and yes, I have made some new friends. She then turned around and pointed out the two boys in turn. This is Izuku Midoriya. He is a fire dragon slayer like Natsu. And that is Denki Kaminari. He possesses lighting dragon slayer magic like your grandson. Kaminari can also use basic lighting magic also. Thank you for that explanation, Wendy. But I already knew that. I watched the sports festival. You three performed with excellence in that competition. But I did see where each of you could improve. Wendy, you need to work on your combat skills. You could also improve your cure magic. Midoriya, much like his master, has great power, but you need to perfect your subtle control of your element. Finally, Kaminari needs to work on fighting at full power. You need to be able to call on all of your power at a moment's notice. Enemies are not going to wait for you to charge up. Marikov closed his eyes. The three teens thought he was thinking deeply about something, but when the tiny man started to snore, the three knew he had fallen asleep. Wendy cleared her throat dramatically. You were saying, Master. Marikov's eyes shot open. Right. You three have a week here before you return to UA. In that time I will train you three to make better use of your magic. Marikov placed his hand on his chin in a thoughtful gesture. With that in mind, let's get started. All three nodded at each other. While the old man may have been goofy, They could tell that he was no pushover. The teens replied in unison, "What should we do first, Master?" Marikov pointed at the cases in the young wizard's hands. "You have your hero costumes in those cases." The young ones nodded. "Then get changed and show me what you have." The three nodded in agreement. The young wizards went into the upstairs rooms to get changed, after which, the three gathered in the main room in their costumes. Midoriya was concerned about fighting in this room. "Master Makarov, do you think it is a good idea for us to fight inside? We might wreck." The intelligent boy did not get to finish his sentence. Right in the middle of speaking, a fist hit him in the face. Midoriya fell to the floor in surprise. Midoriya wondered what hit him. He opened his eyes to see that Makarov's arm was stretched out. The appendage looked like it was made of putty. The appendage shrank back to its normal size. Makarov spoke in a harsh tone. "Do not question your master, my child. If I tell you to fight, then you fight. Now let's see what you got." The three young wizards prepared themselves for what they knew was going to be a very hard week. Elsewhere, Shigaraki was sitting at a bar. The white-haired villain was staring at two photos. These photos were snapshots of Midoriya and Kaminari from the sports festival. The man's eyes were seething with resentment. He thought to himself, "These two brats had foiled my plans. They will pay for that." As the skinny man sat stewing, one of Kurogiri's black fog portals appeared in the middle of the room. The hero killer Stain emerged from the portal. The stern-eyed man looked around the room and saw Shigaraki. Kurogiri appeared in the room behind Stain. "Master, I have brought the men you asked for." The television at the back of the bar flipped on and the words "audio only" appeared. Then a deep malignant voice seeped from the speakers. "Well done, Kurogiri." Shigaraki looked the bladed man over. "So this is the hero killer Stain. Glad you could make it. How about you join our league? We have so much in common after all." "Why should I do that? What is your purpose?" "Right now I just want to kill All Might." Shigaraki threw the photos of Midoriya and Kaminari at the hero killer. "I would have done it if these brats had not gotten in my way." Stain stood in the middle of the room. The fanatic did not speak for a moment. He took in everything about Shigaraki. And Stain did not like what his senses told him. They told him that Shigaraki was dangerous but undisciplined, even knowing that there was only one way to be sure about his character. Shadows gathered around Stain. The fearsome man drew two of his blades and attacked. Back at Marikov's home, the three dragon slayers were laying on the floor. Each one of them was breathing heavily and out of magic power. The three knew that Marikov had to be powerful, but they never thought he would be this powerful. It wasn't just his magic power. The man was a beast of a fighter. Marikov looked over the three teens and smiled. "Your masters did not lie. Now, you three rest while I go get us some food." The three students replied in the affirmative. Marikov thought to himself, "Both Midoriya and Kaminari are very powerful. Not that I didn't know that already from the sports festival. They have Dragon Slayer power. But there is something else. It is also good to see that Wendy is recovering her power. But it is clear that she was affected by the event. But with these two new Dragon Slayers, we might be able to finally defeat him." Back at the hidden bar, Stain had Shigaraki pinned to the floor. "I see. You are the kind of person I hate the most. You have drive but no convention. You seek to change the world but you do not know why you fight. You will never succeed with that mindset. Hey, you're getting pretty rough there. My injuries had just about healed, and now this." Kurogiri became concerned when he saw Shigaraki bleeding on the floor. "Master, should I step in? Let it happen." Stain removed one of his daggers from Shigaraki's shoulder. The adamant man then moved the blade toward the scrawny young man's face and the hand mask on it. This got an immediate reaction from Shigaraki. The man with the irritated skin grabbed the blade in his hand. This caused his hand to start bleeding. Shigaraki then spoke in a crazed voice. "What do you think you are doing? Cutting up my body is one thing, but if you touch his hand I will destroy you." The blade dissolved into a pile of rust in Shigaraki's grip. Stain was surprised by the look in Shigaraki's eyes. The large man jumped back, and Shigaraki picked himself up off the ground. "It seems I was wrong about you. There is a warped sprout of convection in you. We both agree that in order to change the future we must destroy the present. I think I'll let you continue to grow for a while. I can always kill you later you turn out bad. Whatever, get lost." Kurogiri broke in at this point. "Not so fast, master." The fog-bodied villain extended his head to speak into Shigaraki's ear. "Do not dismiss this man so quickly. You must use him to help achieve your goals." The loyal servant then retracted his head. "I think this has been a good first meeting. We can discuss recruitment at a later time." "Fine. There is work for me to do in Hasu. You will return me there now." "Of course." With those words, Kurogiri opened a portal and the three wrongdoers walked through the dark opening and vanished. This video is sponsored by NordVPN. Staying safe online is an ever-growing difficulty. And hackers could exploit you. NordVPN allows you to change your IP address, making you harder to track, securing your privacy, in addition to providing you with safe passage through the web. You can also expand the reach of your favorite streaming services. Are you tired of going through 2, 3, or even 4 streaming services to watch your favorite anime? Well, with NordVPN, you can change your country and be able to binge shows like My Hero Academia.